So, social media advocacy ang tawag sa paggamit ng mga sikat na social media platforms gaya ng Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube sa pagpapalaganap ng adhikain na napili mo. So, ano naman ang adhikain? Sa English, ito ay tinatawag na cause. Ito yung, let's say, yung pinaglalaban mo. Sa tingin mo, kaya mong baguhin yung nakikita mong mali or kulang. So, maraming halimbawa ang iba't ibang adhikain pwede mong ipaglaban or ipromote. Pwedeng tungkol sa edukasyon, which is meron naman na yun na yung mga public schools and public universities. Pwede din sa kalusugan, free healthcare para sa lahat. Meron ding, kunyari may bagyo, then may nakita kang post sa FB, sa dulo nun, may hashtag, is pangalan ng bagyo, hashtag super typhoon, example, Yolanda. So, ayun. So, ito naman, paano siya gawin? So, example, so lahat tayo may Facebook. Maglang post ka, type mo lahat ng hinanakit mo, yung nakikita mong mali, kung bakit, let's say, bagsak ang ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. Then, sa dulo, gumamit ka ng hashtag 20 pesos na bigas nangyari. Then, click post. Congrats! Nakapag-spread ka na ng awareness sa iba. Then, yun lang. Thank you.
What are the type or ways to use the social media advocacies? Ano nga ba ang mga paraan na pwede nating gamitin o samantalahin ang social media para sa ating mga advokasya? Madami. Social media advocacies can take various forms to effectively engage audiences. Isa-isahin natin. Una, content sharing. Ano nga ba ang content sharing? Ang content sharing kasi yung actual content mo. May it be video, audio, podcast, or written. Yung mga nakatype lang, mga post lang. Pero make sure lang na yung content na kinecreate mo is in line with your advocacy. At yun yung main topic. Hindi yung nakasulat lang hashtag ipaglaban ng karapatan. Tapos wala kang ibang ginawa kundi nagsasayaw ka lang sa TikTok. Paano kaya yon? So, let's say, nagsayaw ka, kasama mo ang mga kabataan, kasama mo senior citizen, kasama mo yung mga pinaglalaban mo yung karapatan. Tapos dagdagan mo naman, kailangan may substance yung content mo. Hindi porket sumayaw ka, okay na yun. So, make it visually engaging. Paano ba sinabing visually engaging? Lagyan naman ng konting appeal. Kasi, ma-appeal naman talaga ang mga post. Kailangan para mapansin ng tao. Pero, alam mo yon, kailangan may impact ka. Kailangan colorful. Hindi man colorful, nagpop-up or talagang pagtingin ng tao, may interest sila dun sa sinasabi mo or pinapakita mo. Gandahan mo yung design. Lagyan mo magandang intro. Kahit na example lang is yung kay Martin Luther King na hindi naman siya social media pero yung speech niya, I have a dream. Mapapatingin ka, ano yung dream niya? Diba? Make it interesting para sa mga tao para doon pa lang na-capture mo na yung audience mo. Lagyan mo na eye-catching images. Hindi lang images, minsan videos. Gandahan mo yung intro or do something or show something, flash something na makakakatch ng eyes ng mga audience mo. Ito, in content creation, lalo na sa mga post na nakasulat, nakatype, is TLDR means too long didn't read. Kasi sobrang haba na ng sinabi ng content mo, pag na-overwhelm yung mata ng audience mo, hindi na nila babasahin yung content mo. Skip to the end na. Pero pwede naman yan, makokombat mo yung tulong didn't read na yan. Kung ang gagawin mo is maganda nga, powerful yung intro mo. Hindi lang intro, yung first 2 sentences mo na talagang mahuhook mo yung mga target audience mo. Pag nagawa mo yun, maiwasan mo tong TLDR na to. Pero as much as possible, iwasan mo yung sobrang haba or yung wordy na posts. So, yun po ang content sharing. Ang next natin, hashtags. Yan. Matagal-tagal na rin namang uso ang hashtags, no? Pero, ano nga ba ang hashtags? Yan. Hashtags, a word or phrase preceded by a number, hash or pound sign, yun yung mga original na tawag dyan, used on social media sites and applications, especially Twitter, to identify digital content on a specific topic. So, halimbawa may topic kayo, hashtag Pedro Penduko, hashtag MMFF, hashtag Hiwalayang Katniel, o hashtag Katniel. So, maganda dyan dahil ngayon masyado ng matalino ang algorithm ng mga social media platforms natin. Pag nag-hashtag ka, you can also search for that specific hashtags. Makikita mo kung gaano karami yung taong ginagamit yung same hashtags. At makakakita ka rin ng mga tao or groups or organizations na same ang ina-advocate kagaya ng sayo. So, madali kayong magkaroon ng network, madali kayong magkaroon ng connections dahil sa hashtags na to. You can use similar posts, you can get ideas, or you can make connection or contact talaga sa mga ibang identities or organizations na parehas ang aim nyo. So, yun ang kagandahan ng hashtags. Ano ang mga nangyayari dito? Mabuboost ang engagement mo dahil trending yung topic, gumamit ka pa ng hashtags, isa ka sa mga search results. Tapos depende sa dami ng audience mo, sa dami ng magla-likes, mas magbuboost lalo yung engagement mo. So ayan, ano yung nangyayari? Mas marami kang marireach na audience kasi nga iisang topic. Visibility. Kasi pag nag-post ka lang nang walang hashtag, post ka lang, mga friends mo lang makakakita. Ibang mga friends, mga plastic din yan, hindi ka rin naman papansinin yan. Tapos ayun, sinasabi ko kanina, yung algorithm. So is parang isasama ka kung saan yung agos na sama-samang hashtag or topics. So ano yung pros nito? Yan, makaka-build ka ng community of shared interest. Pero hindi porket parehas ang hashtag nyo, community na kayo. You have to initiate contact. So yun ang hashtags. So ang next po ay campaigns. Ano nga ba ang campaigns? A campaign is a planned set of activities that people carry out over a period of time in order to achieve something such as social or political change. In Tagalog, kampanya. Pero in layman term, ito ang inyong pinaglalaban or gusto nyong ipaglaban, ikampanya, ika nga. So ano, madaming klaseng campaign. Isa na dito yung ito, advertising or marketing campaign. Pinaglalaban mo yung produkto mo, pinaglalaban mo yung produktong ina-advertise mo, 'di ba? Anong gagawin mo? Nung hindi pa uso social media, magbabayad ka sa TV networks para magbayad for commercials, magbabayad ka sa billboards. Pero ngayon social media napaka-convenient. Ang audience mo hindi lang kapitbahay o yung mga dadaan. Basta may social media, tama ang hashtag mo, madami kang marireach na audience. So yun, magagamit mo siya sa advertising or marketing campaign. So ang pangalawa, political campaign. So kung hindi kayo aware at katatapos lang, nagkaroon tayo ng barangay SK elections. And then yun, nung 2022 nagkaroon tayo ng presidential elections. So diyan natin nakita kung gaano na kalakas dahil noong 2016 hindi pa ganyan. Although feel mo na yung effect, mas lalong naramdaman ng tao. Una, pandemic. Pangalawa, yung boom nga ng social media. Yung mga dating hindi pa botante na ngayon, ang dami na. Yung mga matatanda natuto mag social media. Naramdaman natin yung impact ng social media sa mga political campaign, kung ano naging effect nito doon sa final tally ng mga nanalo. Dahil nga doon, ang daming pamilya ang nagkawatak-watak, ang daming pagkakaibiganan ang natapos dahil dito sa political campaign na nangyari sa social media. Ganong kalakas ang impact ng social media. Pero pinakamaganda, kasi sa political may mga negative eh. So kagaya niyan, andito na tayo, papasok tayo sa advocacy and information campaign. Kasi hindi porkit may advocacy ka, halimbawa yun nga, pinaglalaban mo mga karapatan ng tao, o pinaglalaban mo, magbigay ka, bigyan mo ng proof, bigyan mo ng driving point or bigyan mo ng selling point yung pinaglalaban mong advokasya. Sa pamamagitan ng bigyan mo silang impormasyon. Kasi kung wala ka ibibigay na impormasyon, hindi matututo or hindi sila mai-interest sa pinaglalaban mo. Kailangan alam mo kung ano yung pinaglalaban mo. Diyan papasok ang advocacy and information campaign. So, ayun, kailangan, kasi yan yung mga campaign na magagawa mo. May advocacy ka, i-campaign mo, ipaglaban mo. So, ano ang susunod sa campaigns? Influencer collaborations. So, ayan, ang influencer collaboration. Influencers kasi are powerful allies for your advocacy as they can reach and engage your target audience, boost your credibility, and drive conversions. So, bakit influencer collaboration? Kasi itong mga influencer, mayroon na silang ready audiences. Meron ka na agad automatic na audience, malakas ang kapit nila na itong hashtag mo or yung campaign mo, yung advocacy mo, idikit mo lang sa pangalan nila, mahahatak agad, magkakaroon agad ng audience yung advocacy. Before you reach out nga lang to any influencers, kailangan clear yung idea mo, kung ano yung ma-achieve mo, kung ano may mga plano ka na, paano mo i-maintain yun. Meron kang strategy. I-align mo ngayon yun kasi hindi porket meron kang advocacy kailangan kahit sinong influencer na lang. No. Kailangan may kinalaman naman. Halimbawa, ang advocacy mo is religion tapos ang influencer mo heavy metal na satanista. Hindi pwede, hindi mag-work. Choose your influencer, plan your advocacy. Hindi rin naman pwede kasi yung lalapit ka sa influencer. Hoy influencer, meron akong advocacy. Gusto kong gawin to. Anong gagawin mo? Anong plano mo dyan? Hindi ko pa alam. Hindi po pwede yung kailangan ipopropose mo. Meron ka. Dahil influencer, parang magiging promoter mo lang siya unless meron din siyang advocacy na nag-match dun sa advocacy mo, which will be the best scenario. Pero usually ang influencer kasi syempre ma-influensyang tao lang. Pero ayun nga, from case to case basis, pero magandang may influencer. Pinakamaganda kasi para ma-amplify mo yung advocacy efforts mo is yung user generated content. Ito naman yung yung mame-mention ka nila, mare-review ka ng audience niya, magkakaroon ka ng comment mula sa audience niya. Simpleng mention lang ng influencer na yun Ang tawag do UGC. Ito yun, pag nag-post ka ng video, mention mo siya, sasagutin niya. Yung collaboration na yun. Or maganda, gumawa kayo ng video, mag-post kayo, magkasama kayo ng influencer na yun. So, ayun ang influencer collaboration. Pinakamagandang example siguro is magbigay ako ng video. Ito ginawa namin sa Commission on Human Rights. Ang advocacy namin dito is to educate people sa kanilang karapatan. Iba't ibang video yan. May civil political rights, may ESCR. Pero ito, tingnan nyo ang example natin.
I'm Alexa Ilacad, and this is The Rights Course. Know your rights.
Ang buhay ay hindi isang pelikula.
Hindi mo kalaban ang kapwa mo, lumulaban para sa karapatan mo. Ako po si Richard Juan for Know Your Rights.
Know your rights. Alamin ang iyong karapatan. Know your rights.
Try this. Open your social media account and post this. Ano ang mga karapatang pantao o human rights? Ano kayang sasagot ng mga friends mo online? Posible, ang unang pumasok sa isip nila ay karapatang mabuhay o karapatang bumoto. O di kaya, ang karapatang magpahayag ng kanilang mga opinyon o saloobin. Well, lahat ng mga nabanggit ay ang ating karapatan. Pero madalas na pag-iiwanan sa usapan ang karapatan nating magkaroon ng maayos at desenteng buhay anuman ang ating edad, lahi, relihiyon o kasarian. Kasama na rito ang karapatan nating makapag-aral, pati na rin ang karapatan natin sa kalusugan. At iba pa nating tinatawag na economic, social, at cultural rights. Ang economic, social, at cultural rights ay mga karapatan na nakaugnay sa pang-araw-araw nating buhay na nagsusulong ng ating dignidad, kapakanan, at malayang pagpapaunlad ng ating mga sarili. At para mas maintindihan, sundan natin ang kwento ni Karen. Si Karen ay ipinanganak mula sa pamilyang dumadanas ng matinding kahirapan. At dahil mahirap ang buhay, hindi niya nagawang makapag-aral. Hinalala pa ng kanyang problema ang biglaang pagpapaalis sa kanyang ama sa pinapasukang trabaho. Habang ang kanyang ina naman ay namumroblema sa pagpapagamot sa kanyang bunsong kapatid. Lahat ng ito ay hindi dapat nararanasan ng batang si Karen kung maayos lamang na naipaparana sa kanya at sa kanyang pamilya ang kanilang economic, social, and cultural rights. Ilan sa mga halimbawa nito ay ang karapatan natin na magkaroon ng ligtas at disenteng tahanan. Karapatan natin sa edukasyon. Karapatan sa kalusugan. Karapatang makapagtrabaho. Karapatang magkaroon ng social security. At marami pang iba na mga kailangan natin para magkaroon ng maayos at disenteng buhay. Simple lamang to. Isipin mo ang mga kailangan mo para mabuhay. Karapatan mo yan dahil ikaw ay tao. Hindi natin sinasabing mas angat o mas dapat pahalagahan ang mga karapatan nating pang-ekonomiya, panlipunan, at pangkultural kaysa sa iba pa nating mga karapatan. Ang mga karapatan mo ay pantay-pantay. Interdependent sa isa't isa, indivisible, at universal o dapat nating lahat maranasan. Halimbawa, ang ating freedom of speech and expression. Ito ay mahirap ma-enjoy kung ikaw ay may problema dahil kulang ang pagkaing nahahain sa iyong mesa. Mahirap talaga kung kumakalam ang iyong sikmura. O ang ating right to privacy ay mahirap magarantiya kung wala ka namang tirahan. Mahalaga ang pagsulong sa ating economic, social, at cultural rights para maiwasan ang anumang uri ng opresyon at pang-aabuso at para rin isulong ang social justice sa isang bansa. Kapag pinag-usapan natin ang social justice, ito ay tungkol sa isang lipunang pantay at makatarungan. Para matiyak ito, lumagda at nangako ang mga bansa sa International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. Kasunduan nito tungkol sa mga karapatan nating pang-ekonomiya, panlipunan, at pangkultura. At kasama rito ang Pilipinas. Dapat tuparin ang mga sumusunod na obligasyon. Una, dapat gumawa ng paraan ang isang bansa para isulong ang economic, social, and cultural rights gamit ang maximum available resources na meron ito para rito. Ipatupad ang mga programa para sa mga karapatan ng mga tao. Pangalawa, dapat igarantiya ng isang bansa na ang bawat taong nasasakupan nito ay nararanasan kahit papaano ang minimum na kailangan nila. Halimbawa sa pagkain, edukasyon o kalusugan para mabuhay. Pasulong po tayo at hindi pa atras sa buhay. Pangatlo, dapat siguraduhin ng isang bansa na ang ating economic, social, and cultural rights ay ating na-exercise kahit anuman ang ating lahi, relihiyon o kasarian. Sa madaling salita, bawal po ang mag-discriminate. Ngunit sa kasamaang palad, hindi pa rin natin lubos na nararanasan ng pantay-pantay ang mga karapatang ito. Katulad na lang ng narinig nating kwento ni Karen. Sa isang pag-aaral, tinatayang nasa halos 18 million na Pinoy ang baon pa rin sa kahirapan at kumikita ng hindi sapat para sa kanilang mga gastusin sa araw-araw. Ayon sa isang multidimensional poverty statistics, lumalabas na sa edukasyon pinaka-deprived ang mga Pinoy. Kita nyo? Almost 50% or 5 out of 10 families are deprived of basic education. Ito pa. Pagdating naman sa pantay na pagturing sa mga babae at lalaki o anumang kasarian, lumabas sa isang pag-aaral na lamang ng halos 5% ang sweldo ng isang lalaki kumpara sa isang babae. Lahat to ay halimbawa ng inequality sa ating bansa. Pagdating din sa kultura, may mga kapatid tayong indigenous peoples o katutubo na hirap pa rin sa kanilang mga karapatan. Pero ano nga ba ang pwede nating gawin para ganap nating matatamasa ang mga karapatang ito? Una, dapat ay alam natin ang ating mga karapatan. Hindi natin ito maipaglalaban kung hindi natin alam ang dapat ipaglaban, di ba? Pangalawa, huwag tayong manlamang sa ating kapwa. Halimbawa, kung ikaw ay isang negosyante, pasahurin ng tama at sapat ang iyong mga empleyado at ibigay ang kanilang mga nararapat na benepisyo. Kung ikaw ay isang public servant, siguruhing ginagawa mo ng maayos ang sinumpaan mong trabaho para sa karapatan ng lahat. Pangatlo, kailangan natin ng mga leader na magsusulong ng mga karapatang ito. Bumoto tayo ng tama at makahulugan. Maaring maging leader ka rin para sa iyong mga karapatan. Sabi nga ni Kofi Annan, "We will not enjoy security without development. We will not enjoy development without security. And we will not enjoy either without respect for human rights." Nagsisimula lahat ng ito kung alam natin ang ating mga karapatan. Lamang ang may alam. Ako po si Rob Domingo, and this is The Rights Course. Always remember, know your rights.
So, yan, nakita nyo po ang sample video natin. Punta na tayo sa next, engagements. Ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng engagement? Actually, ang engagement kasi, hindi siya types or ways. Ang engagement is a measure. Social media engagement is a measure of all interactions with your social media content. Like, share, tweet or retweet, tapos mga hashtag na ikaw ang gumawa, may mga nag-hashtag din. So, ayun, pag na-share or madaming nag-view na audience, yung gauge nun, yung pag-measure nun, meron yung sa dashboard mo, kung content creator ka, makikita mo yun. So, dalawang klase ang engagement. Una is organic. Ang organic is focused on generating traffic to your site over time through search, feed, shares, or other forms of connections. So, ano ibig sabihin nito? Pag sinabi nating organic, real yung audience mo. Hindi naman sinabing real is hindi na totoong tao. Tao mga audience mo. Lahat naman yung organic and inorganic. May mga tao rin sa inorganic. Let me explain. So, organic, totoong likes, totoong shares, totoong comments ang makikita mo. Halimbawa, shinare ng isang tao. Makita mo yung pag shinare niya, may caption yun. Na, ito, tama itong ginawa niya, tama itong pinaglalaban niya, I feel the same. Yung mga ganun. Hindi yung sasabihin mo, ang mag-share nito, may 10k sa akin sa Gcash ang mapipili. So, ang organic, yung mga tao, no need mong utusan, they feel the same. On the other hand, inorganic uses paid or other automatic or forced methods. Take note of forced methods to target, reach, and engage and convert audiences quickly. Dito na yan. Unang way, makikita mo ang Facebook, may targeted ads. Mas malaki bayaran mo, mas malaki ang marireach mo, or mas madaming audience ang marireach mo. Forcibly yun dahil dadaan sa pages nila, yung dadaan sa feed nila, nagbabrowse ka ng video, pag scroll mo, next yung ads mo, ads lalabas yun eh. Or yung iba naman, ayun nga, sila influencer. Sasabihin, kung sino mapipili, i-like lang to, i-share ang post ko, i-share nyo yung profile ko, i-share nyo yung page ko, ang mapipili, ganyan. So, forced method na naman yun. Hindi siya masasabing organic dahil walang ika nga nagpadala ka ng plastic na walang laman or walang substance yung pag-generate mo ng engagement. Pero, in the end, engagement is engagement. So, yun lang po. On to the next topic na tayo. How this social media advocacy help our community. Salamat po.
Hello everyone, my name is Bridget Dana S. Bautista and my report is about how this social media advocacy help our community. Social media advocacy can be a powerful tool for individual, organizations, and activists to reach a wider audience. Share information and encourage action. It allows for real-time communication, the ability to share multimedia content, and the opportunity to engage directly with supporters and followers. Social media advocacies contribute to community well-being in several ways. One of that is awareness. Social media advocacy can play a crucial role in raising awareness about various issues and causes. Number one, wide range. Because social media have billions of users worldwide. Number two, real-time updates. Can provide instant updates on events, news, and development related to their cause. Number three, multimedia content. Social media platforms support various forms of multimedia content, including images, videos, infographics, and the streams. Number four, community building. Social media platforms provide opportunities for community building the engagement. They can create online communities where supporters can connect, share their experience, and discuss the cause. This sense of community fosters a feeling of belonging and encourages individuals to actively participate in spreading awareness. Like, I have joined this group. It's a group of PCOS fighter because I have a PCOS. So, since they said PCOS doesn't have a cure yet, instead of feeling depressed or overthink, you need this type of group wherein you feel belong, or like you experience the same scenario or situation. Amplifying voices. Number 5, this allows individual and organizations to share their stories, experiences, and perspective directly with a global experience or global audience. So here are some examples of social media advocacy campaigns that have been successful in raising awareness. Number 1, or one of those campaigns, are Black Lives Matters. I'm sure we're all familiar with this. Black Lives Matter. The Black Lives Matter movement has used social media to raise awareness about systematic racism and police brutality. The hashtag has been widely used on platforms like Twitter and Instagram to share stories, videos, and resources related to racial injustice. And then one of the campaigns also is Climate Strike. The hashtag line is Track Movement, led by young activists like Greta Thunberg, has utilized social media to mobilize global protest and raise awareness about the urgent need for action climate change, and hashtag has been used to share photos, videos, and messages from climate strikes around the world. So these are good campaigns, no? Especially the one with climate strike, so we're all aware of what's happening with our surroundings. So overall, So overall, it enables individual and organization to connect with a global audience, share information, and drive meaningful change. So, social media advocacy can contribute to education in several ways. Because the second one is about education. So, access to information. Educational institution and organization can use social media to share resources, articles, videos, and other educational content. This helps us to expand access sa mga educational materials and provides opportunities for self-directed learning. Number 2, collaboration and networking. Social media platforms enables collaboration and networking among educators, students, and educational organizations. Students can also collaborate with peers in a group assignment or engage in discussions with experts in their field of interest. Number 3, engaging learning experiences. Engaging learning experiences, social media platforms offer interactive and engaging learning experiences. Educators can use social media tools to create interactive quizzes, polls, discussion to enhance students' engagements and participations. Naalala ko dito yung quizzes, if you're familiar with that. Back then, dun sa previous school ko, they use quizzes whenever we're going to have a quiz on NSTP. And nag-enjoy kami because sometimes those answers that you forgot, the right answers that you forgot, you have the chance, if you choose the wrong answer, you have the chance to correct your answers. And you keep learning, and it's really fun. So, the next one is global perspective. Social media allows students to connect with individuals from different cultures, backgrounds, and perspectives. Students can also engage in discussions, share experiences, and learn about different cultures and societies through social media platforms. So, nakakapag-share sila ng mga experiences and learning when it comes to studies or perspective kahit na magkakaiba sila ng culture or nationality. Like different language, di ba? May makikita na tayo now sa social media na ano ang Japanese or Mandarin or Korean nito. So, it's easy for us now to learn new things. Or, yeah. Number 5 is promoting digital literacy. Social media advocacy can help promote digital literacy skills among students. By using social media platforms for educational purposes, students learn how to navigate and critically evaluate online content, engage in responsible online communication, and protect their privacy and digital identity. Relate ako before kasi 3 years ago, nag-stop ako. Sa lahat ng to, relate ako Kasi 3 years ago na-stop ako, tapos nung nagka-opportunity to continue online class, since pandemic po nung bumalik ako ng college, and then my classmates are all under online school that time since it's pandemic nga. So, I'm so scared to try new things. I don't have any idea about portals, about, how I can Gmeet or Zoom, how can I go to a class, how can I find my teachers. So, full of curiosity and sobrang kinakabahan ako, takot akong magkamali. Then, as I go through the process, beginning is always the hardest. As I go through the process, from enrollment pa lang, online din, I just follow the instructions, and then, pag nandun ka na sa situation na yon, you just have to deal with it. And then, yon. So, it really helps, diba? Yung online, it really helps. Wala nang imposible ngayon. You can also learn new things or go to school using, through online class. You can graduate, you can do many things. So, yon. Number 6, amplifying educational campaigns. Social media advocacy can be used to amplify educational campaigns and initiatives. So, social media advocacy has become increasingly prevalent in the field of education. Here are some examples. Number one is the EdChat. I'm not familiar with EdChat, but EdChat is on Twitter, is used by educators to engage in discussion about various educational topics. This hashtag has created a community of educators who shared ideas, resources, and best practice, fostering professional development and collaboration. And then the second one is Fund Our School, aim to bring attention to the need for increased funding for school and educational program. So, ang gaganda ng mga advocacy campaigns when it comes to education. The next one is community building. Social media advocacy plays a significant role in community building by fostering connections, facilitating communication, and creating a sense of belonging among individuals who share a common cause or interest. So, parang katulad lang siya ng mga previous na nasabi ko. Community building is the sense of feeling belonging or sharing same interests. Number one is connect live-minded individuals. Social media platforms provide a space for individuals with similar interests, passion, or goals to connect and form communities. May naalala na naman ako dito kasi kasali din ako sa group ng low-carb diet. And then when it comes to passion, interest, goals, diba? Kasi doon goal naming pumayat. Pero until now, di pa rin ako nag-start. So, ayun, natawa. Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa rin ako nag-start. Kaya yan, hanggang ngayon, mataba pa rin ako. Pero, i-claim natin yan this 2024. Number 2, facilitating communication. Social media platforms enable real-time communication and interaction among community members. Advocacy campaigns can use social media to facilitate discussions, updates, and engage in conversations on their followers. Number 3, sharing stories and experiences. Social media advocacy allows individuals to share their personal stories, experiences, and perspective, and their sharing of personal narratives helps to build empathy and understanding within the community. It creates a space na kung saan makaka-relate ang isang tao and support nila ang isa't isa, fostering a sense of unity and solidarity. Gaya nga na sinabi ko dun sa Picos Fighter, parang kino-comfort namin yung minomotivate namin yung isa't isa to keep going, and that's nothing is impossible, and we're gonna cope. Number 4, encouraging collaboration. We all know social media platforms provide opportunities for collaboration among community members. Advocacy campaigns can use social media to organize virtual events, collaboration projects, or fundraising initiatives. So, number 5, providing support and resources. Social media advocacy allows community members to provide support, resources, and guidance to one another. Gaya nga nung sinabi ko, parang connected lang sila dun sa mga nasabi ko ng una, yung nag-give ko na example, when it comes sa mga group, I'm sure you also have that groups or fans club ba yun na you are turning into one, like nagkakaisa kayo. Mobilization action, social media advocacy can mobilize community members to take action, which is true. Sometimes, ito yung napansin ko, sometimes, parang hinihintay muna ng mga nasa authority, like, mga nasa government na ma-spread yung news or makalat muna sa social media bago sila mag-take ng action. Kaya pag nasa social media na yon dahil takot sila na mabash or something, mag-aano na yan, gagawa na sila ng action. So, they will take action. Advocacy campaigns can use social media platforms to share calls to action, organize protests or events to encourage individuals to contact policymakers. So next is empowerment. Plays a crucial role in social media advocacy as it helps individuals and communities to take ownership of their voices, causes, and actions. Here's how empowerment contributes to social media advocacy. Number one, amplifying voices. Empowerment enables individuals to express their opinions and their stories and advocate for their causes. So, nagiging boses sila. Number two, building confidence. Through social media advocacy, individuals can see the impact of their actions, engage with others who share similar interests, and receive supports and validation from the community. This builds confidence and encourages them to continue advocating for their causes. So, naisip ko dito yung parang ano ba yung quote na yon, yung perfectly imperfect, or yung mga nagsishare na this is normal, yung pagka-pimples, tumaba. Kasi we're in a generation now that we set a beauty standards in our generation na dapat maputi, makinis, matangos ang ilong, haba ang buhok, 'di ba? So, yun yung naisip ko doon. And then now, may mga pages or people that shares about if you're this, if hindi ka ganon, it's okay. You're human. This is normal. And we feel confident because we have our own features. God created us all perfect and unique design. So we should not compare ourselves to one another because we are unique. So if you're not tall, if you're not flawless, if your nose is not that pointed, or you're not that sexy, it's okay. You're still beautiful. Then, creating awareness. Empowerment helps individuals become aware of social issues, injustice, and the power dynamics at play. Through social media advocacy, individuals can educate themselves and others, shares information, and raise awareness about important causes. What's the next one? Oh, driving action. Empowerment motivates individuals to take action and make a difference. By empowering individuals to use social media as a tool for advocacy, they can mobilize their network, organize events, campaigns, and initiatives, and drive tangible change. So, examples of this, of empowerment campaigns. A social media advocate for LGBT rights creates a Facebook group where community members can share their experiences, ask questions, and find support. A social media advocate for gender equality encourages them to participate in virtual march for women's rights, also known as women empowerment. Favorite ko yon. Balik tayo dito. Favorite ko to. Yung empowerment or woman empowerment. A social media advocate for LGBTQ rights creates a fabulous group where community members can share their experiences, ask questions, and support. A social media advocate for gender equality encourages their followers to participate in a virtual march for women's rights, also known as the woman empowerment. So, empowerment is essential in social media advocacy because it empowers individuals to become active participants in shaping their communities and advocating for a positive change. So, ipupush natin and isusupport natin yan ang lahat ng empowerment. Mapa LGBTQ man yan, or woman man yan, or man man yan. We should support each other or one another. And then, action mobilization. Ito na yung last. Action mobilization plays a crucial role in social media advocacy as it helps to turn awareness and supports into tangible actions and outcome. Parang mali yung ginamit kong word. plays a crucial role in social media advocacy at it helps to turn awareness. Huwag niyo napansinin yun. But yeah, in short, mapabilis yung action. So number 1 is call to action. Action mobilization involves providing clear and specific calls to audience to action to this to audience. This can include signing petition, sharing posts, attending events, donating to causes, or contacting policymakers. By providing actionable steps, social media advocates can mobilize their audience to take immediate and meaningful action. So sabi ko nga na papabilis niya na ma-actionan ang isang concern or isang mga campaign or mga bagay-bagay. Example, a social media advocate for animal rights shares a post about a petition to ban animal testing. They provide a direct link to the petition and encourage their followers to sign and share it to raise awareness and gather support. Number 2, amplifying messages. Action mobilization involves leveraging the power of social media to amplify messages and reach a wider audience. Example nito, a social media advocate for climate justice creates a campaign encouraging followers to share photos of themselves taking sustainable actions such as using reusable water bottles or biking instead of driving. Naalala ko yung high school days, 'di ba? May mga pagganon yung project, yung about sa Mother Earth or taking care of our Mother Earth or mga recycle, reuse, reduce, recycle, mga ganon. And then you're gonna take picture and share to your Facebook. Number 3, organizing events. And campaigns. Action mobilization can involve organizing events, campaigns, or initiatives that encourage community participation and engagement. Example, a social media advocate for a local community center organizes a virtual fundraising campaign to support programs for underprivileged youth. Yung mga tumutulong dun sa mga youth na walang-wala talaga financially, and then yung mga may pa-feeding programs, ganon. Number 4, engaging with decision makers. Action mobilization includes engaging with decision makers, policymakers, and influential individuals to advocate for change. Example nito, a social media advocate for gun control reform tweets directly and at elected official, urging them to support strict gun control measures. They encourage their followers to retweet and engage with the officials' social media accounts to amplify the messages and put pressure on a decision makers. So parang hindi mapipressure, pero bibigyan ng action yung concern na yon pag talagang na-spread siya sa social media, through social media. Number 5, tracking and reporting impact. Action mobilization involves tracking and reporting the impact of advocacy efforts to demonstrate progress and inspire continued action. Social media advocates can motivate their audience to stay engaged and continue supporting the cause. So, uso na din ngayon yung mga pag may mga nagkakasakit and then nag-ask sila ng help, 'di ba? Lalo na pag may urgent operation na kailangan, and then people will spread the issue about that, and then magkakaroon ng mga tao na tutulong dun sa taong nangangailangan, and then updated tayo kasi magpo-post sila na ano na yung recovery ba niya, kumusta na siya, ganon, 'di ba? So, it's really nice. So, in short, action mobilization is essential for effective social media advocacy as it empowers individuals to take action, create a sense of community, and leverage the power of digital platforms and drive a social change. So, that's all. And Thank you.
Good day, everyone. For this topic, we will proceed to pros and cons of social media advocacies. Prosperity of social media advocacies. The first one is for a global reach. The advocacy can reach a vast and diverse audiences worldwide. Means, through of social media, ang advocacy ay mas lumalaganap at lumalawak. Ibig sabihin, ito ay nagiging daan upang mas maraming tao ang makaalam ng advocacy ng isang individual o grupo ng tao. Sa pamamagitan naman ng social media, ito rin ay nagiging daan upang matugunan ang kanilang layunin sa kanilang advocacies. Di naman lingid siguro sa ating kaalaman when it comes in social media, talagang mas mabilis mag-process ng mga information dahil na rin sa makabagong teknolohiya. At isa pa, karamihan na rin talaga is tutok at mas malaki ang nakukonsume sa social media. Kaya, it is the one of pros of social media advocacy. One of the example when it comes in NSTP, in social media advocacy is yung nagdaang pandemic. Marami sa atin ang nawalan ng pagkakakitaan dito pa lang sa Pilipinas. Maraming Pilipino ang nawalan ng pagkakakitaan, hanap buhay o trabaho, na siya namang naging dahilan sa marami ng pagkakapos sa kanilang buhay. Ngunit dahil may mga taong mabubuting puso na handa at nais na tumulong sa maraming mga nangangailangan sa pamamagitan ng pagpo-post ng kanilang advocacy sa iba't ibang plataforma sa social media, ito ay naging daan upang maipahatid at malaman ng marami ang mensahe o layunin ng kanilang advocacy. Yun ay ang upang makatulong sa mga nangangailangan sa panahon ng pandemya sa pamamagitan na rin ng pagdodonasyon ng mga pangangailangan ng bawat pamilya na nangangailangan. The next one naman po is amplifications of voices. So, social media empowers individuals and groups to amplify their message and causes. Through the social media, ito ang nagbibigay daan upang mas maipahayag at maipabot sa marami ang kanilang layunin o mensahe sa kanilang inilulunsad na advocacy. Katulad na lang po ng sinabi ko kanina, marami naman sa panahon ngayon ang may access pagdating sa social media, kaya mas malaki ang chances at possibilities na makahikayat ng maraming tao tungkol sa advocacy ng isang individual o grupo ng tao na nag-a-advocate. The third one is community building. It is foster the creation of supportive communities around shared values. Through advocating in social media, ito ay nagbibigay daan upang makakalap at magkaroon ng malaking suporta sa tao through social media. Ito ay upang mabigyan ng importansya at mapahalaga ng kanilang advocacy sa pamamagitan ng pagkakaisa ng bawat individual o grupo ng tao na mayroong iisang layunin. One of the example is yung ginawa ng maraming na ina-advocate nila yung advocacy nila through social media para makakuha ng suporta sa ibang tao, tulad ng pagbibigay donasyon bilang bahagi ng kanilang suporta o kaya naman pagsama o pagtulong sa pag-a-advocate ng kanilang advocacy na inilulunsad. So that's it for my part. So for now, this is the end of my part and I would like to call Ate Charlene for the continuation of other prosperities of social media advocacy. Thank you.
Number 4, real-time communication. Advocates can respond quickly to current events and engage in real-time conversation. What is real-time communication? Real-time communication is a process of exchanging any information using an internet, so sa madaling salita, walang delay sa pagtanggap ng mga messages dito. Kadalasan ginagamit ito sa mga chat apps, video calls, at iba pang online platform kung saan ang impormasyon ay natatanggap agad-agad. So mas mabilis nating mapapakalat ang isang advocacy. Number 5, low cost. Compared to traditional forms of advocacy, social media often requires fewer financial resources. Low cost, it typically involves using internet-based platforms and services that offer free or inexpensive communication options. So, mga nakapaloob dito ay mga messaging apps like WhatsApp, Facebook, Messenger, or Telegram for text-based communication, as well as voice-over internet protocol services like Skype, Google Meet, or Zoom for voice and video calls. Sa mga platforms na ito, it often provide basic features for free services para sa abot-kayang subscription plans for additional functionalities. Dagdag pa natin dito, using email for asynchronous communication for low-cost options for certain needs. And lastly, number 6, educational opportunities. Platforms can serve as educational tools, raising awareness about various issues. So, absolutely, educational platforms play a crucial role in raising awareness about various issues by providing accessible and often interactive learning experiences. So, nag-offer sila ng opportunities for individuals para ma-expand ang mga knowledge nito sa mga topics ranging from social justice and environmental sustainability to health and technology. These platforms can include online courses, webinars, podcasts, and interactive learning modules, allowing people to engage with information kung saan ang paraan ng pag-aaral ay naayon sa schedule na nais mo. For example, like our school Metro Business College. And additionally, educational platforms often foster communities where learners can share ideas, collaborate, and take collective action to address the issues they've learned about.
Balik po tayo kay Rayan Coloma. Cons of social media advocacy. So ito na naman yung bad side or cons nga. Kung ano yung mga yon. Echo chambers. User may be exposed only to viewpoints that align with their existing beliefs, limiting diverse perspectives. So, example ko po dyan, no, medyo sensitive tong topic na to, is right to life and right to abortion. Yan po ang debate ngayon. Mainit po yan sa Senate. Kasi nga naman, right to life. Siyempre, ang bata, pag pinalaglag mo, hindi na siya magkakaroon ng right to life. Ang punto naman ng pro-abortion is hanggat nasa loob ng nanay yan, pwedeng mailagay sa alanganin yung buhay ng nanay or karapatan ng nanay yan since hindi pa life yun, nasa loob pa lang daw. Madaming factors. So, kung isa lang, you can only take either one of the two. So, pro-life ka ba o pro-abortion? Masyadong pangit naman pakinggan. Yung pro-abortion kasi is pro-choice. So, ang katagan nila is my body, my choice. Pero for me personally, hindi naman pwede. Halimbawa, may magpapakamatay, tatalon sa building. Ano siya sagot ko? Your body, your choice, go. Hindi naman po pwede yun. So, ayun lang po. Yun yung, kasi hindi lahat ng advocacy magkaka-align. So, yun po. Number 2, misinformation spread. Ayan. Ever since, before social media, madami ng chismis ang kumakalat, madaming fake news. Then, nagkaroon ng social media, nagkaroon pa ng written. Yung iba nga, video pa ginagawa para lang makapag-spread ng false information. And meron din talagang troll call center. Totoo po yan. Yung iba, kunyari, pro-Lenny, tas itutroll yung mga pro-Marcos. Ang mangyayari, magagalit ng todo yung mga hindi naman maka-Marcos sa ginagawa ng isa. Ano mangyayari? Doon na sila sa isang side. Effective po yan, pero hindi po talaga maganda yan. Misinformation. So, yung iba, patay na. Yung pala, buhay pa pala. Para lang sa views or talagang to cause chaos. Wala pong walang naidudulot na maganda sa society natin. Online harassment or bullying. Meron na po tayong batas laban dyan. Actually, hindi lang yung sa harassment. Lahat meron na po tayong hotline dyan. Yun po, advocates may face cyberbullying or harassment deterring some party. Ito, in case of social media advocacy naman po, kasi kung hindi nga align or hindi na yung advocacy mo, let's say ang in-advocacy mo political campaign, hindi kayo magkapares ng kandidato. Ito yung sinasabi ko, ma-harassment. Hindi lang misinformation, hindi lang minsan misinformation yun, false information, yung iba totoong information na ang binibigay, ini-expose. So, ayan po. Yun yung mga vulnerabilities ng mga nagte-take side sa mga ganyan sa advocacy nila, lalo na political campaign. Short attention span. Kung maalala nyo po kanina, doon sa ways na sinasabi ko, yung TLDR, too long didn't read. Sa ngayon, kung hindi in your face kasi, ang mga tao, sa dami ng information binibigay ng social media, wala na silang time para basahin yung ano mo. So, kaya sinasabi ko nga, iklian, gandahan ng impact. So, ito yun. The fast-paced nature of social media can lead to shallow engagement, short-lived interest. So, ganun din yun. Nasa ways din yun kung paano mo ipe-preserve or ano yung long-term goal mo para sa advocacy mo. Kailangan na plano mo yan. Privacy concerns. User personal information may be exploited leading to privacy concern. Isa po ako sa naging biktima niyan, Sir John Philip. Ito po ang istorya ko. Nung pandemic, nakareceive ako ng ayuda mula sa barangay. Paano ka makakapag-register? Magpakita kang resident ka dito sa Quezon City. Bigay mo yung birthday mo para makontak ka nila. Bigay mo yung cellphone number mo. Ang problema, nung ina-announce nila yung makaka-receive ng ayuda on that day, pinost nila sa Facebook. Hindi lang pangalan, hindi lang general location, which is napakaliit lang ng location barangay namin, nakalagay yung birthday and cellphone number. Everything you need to hack a Facebook account or bank account ng isang tao, nireklamo ko yan sa NTC, nireklamo ko yan sa Commission on Human Rights. So, ayun po yung nangyari sa akin. So, algorithmic biases. Platform algorithms may intentionally amplify certain voices while silencing others, contributing to bias. Actually, hindi. Actually, mga ads kasi yun eh. Yung mga targeted ads. Hindi lang naman sa ano. Isama na natin yun. Privacy concern, algorithmic biases. Bakit privacy concern and algorithmic biases? Tried and tested to. Try nyo sa sarili nyo. I-on nyo yung cellphone nyo, mag-on kayo na social media, example Facebook, then kunyari nakikipag-usap ka sa isang tao, iparinig mo mga keywords, buntis, diaper, gatas. Then in a few hours or the next day, pag-scroll mo, mga ads mo, maniwala ka para sa mga baby, para sa mga nagbubuntis. So, ayun, magkakaroon lang talaga. Ito yung mga algorithmic biases. Magbabias sila. Targeted nga yung ads sa'yo. Hindi na ads na in general to. Targeted na sa'yo yung ads. So, ayun po ang mga cons. Salamat sa pakikinig. Kami po ang Group 8. Domo arigato gozaimashita.